Thank you for watching EVTN News. You are a remnant because it seems like, as of recently, my views for EVTN News have gone down significantly. Actually, it seems like it kind of doubled. Yeah, well, it was doubled a few weeks ago, and now it's significantly less. So I don't know if YouTube's kind of trying to push me aside, or if people just really have lost interest that much that they don't want to watch EVTN News, but you are a remnant. And so thank you for watching, everyone. Um, anyway, I want to talk about this interesting story that's developing. And it is off of LifeSite News. So, LifeSite News posted a video about the traditional Carmelite nuns. So if you remember, they had an apostolic visitation recently, and their chaplain was Father Maximilian Mary Dean from the was the Franciscan friars that were kind of beat down by the Vatican. The Vatican canceled these Franciscans because they said the Latin Mass. And so Father Maximilian was a hermit in the Diocese of Harrisburg. He was interviewed by LifeSite's Jim Hale, and he, in this video, which has now been set to private by LifeSite News, I think it's on John Henry Weston's channel. I'm not sure because it's been set to private, so it doesn't exist. Technically, it doesn't exist for the public anymore. Um, Apparently, Father Maximilian is out as chaplain of the Carmelites, the traditional Carmelites from Fairfield, Pennsylvania, which is, I think it's near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And he's out. These traditional cloistered Carmelites are building a monastery, and now apparently they have no priest. Now, in the Diocese of Harrisburg, there is an FSSP parish, and so maybe those priests will staff the the nuns, the convent for the nuns. I don't know, but also the Carmelites, apparently they have until next March to get with the Vatican's program, or else. So I'd like to get to the bottom of this, and I wonder why LifeSite set their video to private. Did it actually happen or not? Who really knows? But I'll keep you updated on this story. I don't know, they might repost it. Maybe they had it queued for a certain time on a certain day, and their release date wasn't timed very well, or maybe the information is inaccurate. I don't know. But the video it still exists, but it's set to private, and so we can't watch it. So we don't know we don't know what it says. Okay, moving on to Vigano. Vigano said that Benedict's resignation should be investigated, and okay, so do I, but that doesn't mean anything. The chances of that happening are the chances of me winning the Powerball, and I don't play the lottery, so there you go. Moving to Cardinal Turkson. Pope Francis on last Monday appointed Cardinal Turkson as the new Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences and Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences. The cardinal from Ghana succeeds the 79-year-old Argentinian Bishop Marcelo Sanchez Sorondo, who had led both institutions since 1998. In 2018, it's Soronato. It looks like the Catholic News Agency misspelled his name. Anyway, in 2018, Bishop Soronato praised China's global leadership, saying that at this moment, those who realize the social doctrine of the church are those who best realize the social doctrine of the church are the Chinese. And so he was the guy who said that China best exemplifies Catholic social teaching. And so Cardinal Turkson, by being appointed to this position, he has, I don't know, what would you say, big shoes to fill, or maybe there's no pressure to do anything well. I don't know, but Cardinal Turkson is 73 years old, and the required retirement age in the Vatican is 75. So I don't know if they expect him to be there very long, but same thing, you could say the same thing about Francis. Um, so Massachusetts bishop caused controversy. Bishop Robert McManus has demanded that the Nativity School of Worcester, Massachusetts remove BLM and rainbow flags, which he says are symbols that stand in contrast to consistent Catholic teaching. The 70-year-old Catholic bishop also appeared to question the school's religious status in a recent statement. And so he said, "Is the school committing itself to ideologies which are contrary to Catholic teaching? If so, is it still a Catholic school?" Oh, that's a very interesting question. He said, "As the bishop of this diocese, I must teach that it is imperative that a Catholic school use imagery and symbols which are reflective of that school's values and principles so as to be clear with young people who are being spiritually and morally formed for the future." There you go. So, good job standing up for the Catholic faith. The Nativity School is a tuition-free all-boys school that serves about 60 students, predominantly of color from low-income families. This is from masslive.com, massachusettslive.com, not a Catholic affiliation at all. As you could tell, as if you read the article, you can tell. The school is part of a Jesuit network. Oh, so now we get to the bottom of it. And although school president Thomas McKinney, in a statement shared with Mass Live, said the school proudly operates in the Diocese of Worcester, he made the distinction that it is not a diocesan school. Well, yeah, because it's a Jesuit school. There we go. So there's your answer. Rainbow flags and BLM. It's not just the Jesuits that are rotten, but they're pretty bad. They're about the worst religious order you'll find. Some of you might debate me on that, and that's fine. You can. I think the Paulist fathers are completely rotten, but I don't know. OFMs, that's Franciscan orders. Some of them are really bad, but not all of them. In New York City, for over 30 years, a traditional Latin Mass was celebrated at the Church of St. Agnes near Grand Central Terminal. Then Opus Dei took over the parish, and the Opus Dei priest in charge announced that on April 3rd, it will be the last day for the use of the Old Mass. It will be replaced by the Novus Ordo in Spanish. Wouldn't it be nice if the church had a universal language? And Opus Dei, yeah, are they just taking orders from Cardinal Dolan? Or who knows? I was just taking orders. That's what they all say, right? Pope Francis met migrants in Malta, and he met them at a podium, which was not adorned with a crucifix, given that the majority of migrants are Muslim. Ridiculous. I mean, unbelievable. It's kind of like Georgetown. Whenever Obama went to speak there, they covered up their crucifix. It makes you wonder, do you really believe in your Catholic identity? They have no Catholic identity at that point because they're removing their Catholic identity. And Pope Francis, do you have a Catholic identity? Oh, we can't offend the Muslims. Really? Why are you meeting with them? What's the point? Is there a reasonable hope that all are saved? Because at that point, why are you even Pope? So you can destroy the church? Rhetorical questions, right? So the Vatican bus nun had a live stream. She said the main protagonist in the Catholic Church's 2-year synodal process now underway is the Holy Spirit, who is ready to guide us on this journey. And this was the Vatican bus nun, Sister Natalie Beckhart. She told a U.S. audience on April 3rd. About 1,000 people from 37 countries participated. This is from Crux Now. This is interesting reporting. About 1,000 people from 37 countries participated in the online event sponsored by New Ways Ministry, which is a deviant LMNOP supporting organization. And so Was it a U.S. audience if 30 people from 37 countries participated? I think that's a contradiction. I guess, unfortunately, sorry, I didn't proofread well enough until I read it out loud. But anyway, uh, yeah, this was the organization's executive director called it historic that a Vatican official was addressing an LMNOP audience. So I don't know. Would you work for? Would you? I don't know. This executive director, do they identify as LMNOP? I don't know. Anyway, the bus nun asked participants to take a minute of silence to think and reflect on one word or one image that best describes what synodality is for you in the church. She invited participants to share this in the Zoom chat area, and you can imagine what words were said: discernment, hopeful dialogue, openness, empowering, oneness, authentic listening, grassroots takeover, excitement, humility, engage, connection, community, diversity, welcome, understanding, acceptance, affirmation, listening with our hearts, and respect for laity. These New Age pagan values sound very similar to the values of the Vatican II Church, but they don't sound very similar to Catholic values. Lots of Vatican II buzzwords, but also lots of modernist buzzwords, which are kind of one and the same, aren't they? I mean, really, when you think about it, more Jesuit education. The College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts will be renaming its integrated science complex to honor its Holy Prophet, and I guess, what would you say? They're really excited about their graduate, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Okay. So the prophet of the virus church was the building was named its integrated science complex. The Holy Cross Jesuit University in Massachusetts named its integrated science complex after their favorite holy prophet of the virus. Okay. What a shock, right? On April 4th, during an interreligious dialogue conference held at the Angelicum in Rome, Archbishop Bruno Forte of the Diocese of Chieti Vasto in Italy delivered a lecture on the perspective of the Catholic Church on Judaism and its claim to possession of the Holy Land. Forte's lecture, based on the 2016 document Between Jerusalem and Rome in Vatican II text Nostra Aetate, oh boy, focused on the claim of the Jews regarding the possession of the land of Palestine, following a common thread among those who engage in Jewish-Catholic interreligious dialogue. Forte proposed, among other things, that in order to foster Judaic Christian relations that are purified of every form of anti-Semitism, Christians should no longer hold and preach that Jews must accept the faith in Christ as normative for salvation. Hard to believe, right? No, not really, not in this modern church. He said, "We call upon all Christian denominations that have not yet done so to follow the example of the Catholic Church and excise anti-Semitism from their liturgy and doctrines." All right. We saw that with Bugnini. "And to end an active mission to the Jews and to work toward a better world hand in hand with us, the Jewish people." Oh, okay. But you know what, pre-55, the pre-55 Holy Week, I think it was Good Friday, where they prayed for the perfidious Jews. Anyway, that's kind of awkward. But they don't. But there is salvation outside the church then, according to this archbishop, I guess. And he's referring to Nostra Aetate. Okay, awesome. Father, okay, so there's a new bishop named of Columbus, Diocese of Columbus, Ohio. Father Earl Fernandez, he's the newly appointed bishop of the Diocese of Columbus. He previously celebrated the traditional Latin Mass every Sunday at Sacred Heart Parish in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. He is 49 years old and the son of Indian immigrants. So how did this new Francis bishop slip through the cracks? That's very, very odd. In an academic book titled Seminary Formation and LMNOP, Fernandez argues that, according to Pope Benedict, even support of the LMNOP movement is sufficient to disqualify a candidate from the priesthood. Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff from a new bishop. In the Diocese of Turin, Italy, a woman pretended to become a man and wanted confirmation. So there you go. A parish priest asked the diocesan curia, and the response of the diocese was in favor. Okay to confirm with the new name, because obviously this woman took a new name as a man, and how the people do that stuff in this day and age. But in the register, write that of baptism and record the change, putting at the bottom of the date and protocol number of the sentence of the civil court which certifies the occurrence reassignment. The reassignment, I don't know if she had surgery or what, but I don't know if I really want to know, but this is what's going on in Italy, and the diocese is like, oh yeah, good, that's fine, you can confirm a woman as a man. That makes no sense. Okay. Have you guys heard about the Gordon family feud? So the book asked your husband, a Catholic Guide to Femininity by Steph Gordon was recently pulled from shelves. And The Pillar has an in-depth article about what happened. Tim Gordon and what Frank Walker calls them the Thug Brothers, Tim and Dave Gordon. So Dave Gordon is threatening to sue Tim and Steph for plagiarism and ask your husband. I listened to Tim's YouTube video about this, and he and Dave had a contract with Tan, which is a publisher, to write a book in 2021, but then Tan terminated the contract after Dave repeatedly attacked Taylor Marshall and others on Twitter. His opinions on Twitter was so bad that Tan pulled the book deal. And Dave works for Church Militant. The organization is full of individuals who are obsessed with posting terrible opinions on Twitter, and this apparently also means threatening to sue your family for $300,000. So that's kind of going to be awkward family reunions for a while. Okay. A group of 120 Austrian priests and deacons condemned the Austrian government's proposal of mandatory jabs, which is currently on hold until June 2022, saying the church cannot remain silent. And they said, we've already submitted our statement to our bishops in February. We hope for a productive conversation. Well, looking at what you're dealing with, I wouldn't hold my hopes up. I wouldn't keep my hopes up. Isn't Cardinal Schonborn from Austria? Not good. But I think they did. I don't know if they gave a church to the SSPX, a beautiful church, recently. So awesome. Eric Tilch, a militant LMNOP, whom Lindbergh, Germany diocese employs as a youth education officer, said, I can only feel accepted by the church if I am also accepted with changing partners. I mean, really? Once you embrace perversion, then you have to keep following down that line and keep going further and further. Bishop Georg Batzing, the president of the German bishops, is the Bishop of Limburg, so that would explain a lot. Tilch revealed that the German church accepts stable LMNOP partnerships, but said it should extend that to open relationships. I mean, hey, I don't know. What does it mean to be Catholic? And what does it mean to be Catholic if you reject all its doctrines, And more craziness from Germany. The Archdiocese of Freiburg, Germany hired a woman pretending to be a man to teach Catholic religion classes to school children. Okay, and the word groomer comes up a lot. But back to back crazy stuff in Germany. I mean, this is just unbelievable. I think perversion is the good word to describe it. Now we're moving to Cardinal Pell, and on this channel, what I like to do is give you the facts. Okay, so even if it doesn't really necessarily fit my personal narrative, I'll give you the facts. The Vatican's 2014 to 2020 money transfers to Australia had nothing to do with the controversial trial against Cardinal Pell. So remember, there was information that broke that the Vatican was transferring gigantic sums of money to Australia, to the Australian government. The money was destined to Newstar, a computer security company, for, among others, the management of the top-level domain .catholic in Chinese characters. I don't really understand that part, but really it's just a website. They were transferring money. The Australian Anti-Money Laundering Authority, AUSTRAC, falsely claimed the Vatican had sent in 6 years $2.3 billion in over 400,000 transactions. That was false. AUSTRAC admitted that this number was totally wrong, and the total movements amounted to around 9.5 million. So they were wrong by almost 100 times. I mean, that's pretty sad, really. $9.5 million, 362 transactions. So they went from 400,000 to 362. Okay, so what was the purpose of the Australian government releasing this information? Like, what? And quite honestly, who do you trust more right now, the Vatican or the Australian government? I mean, I think the Australian government is quite possibly the most untrustworthy government in the world. I mean, you could make a case for China, and you couldn't make a case for the Vatican, but Australia is basically like a communist utopia. I mean, it's basically like a lockdown utopia? I think that's what you'd call it. Because if you want to go there, you have to quarantine for I don't know how many weeks, and then what are you going to do? I mean, it's dangerous to be by yourself. It's dangerous. You might get sick if you go into the outback. And if you're in the middle of the desert, you don't want to do that because I don't know, for whatever reason, you could just mentally think of some kind of virus and you might get it in the outback. I don't know. Maybe a kangaroo. Maybe if you're like not social distance 600 feet from a kangaroo, you might get sick. I don't know. But that's Australia. It's a communist utopia. That's really what it is. They're making that case for themselves. Thanks for joining me, Patty. Thank you for everyone joining me on the live stream today. Again, I've said my view counts have seemingly decreased for EVTN News, and I don't know if it's from lack of interest, people not getting notified, are people's notifications popping up? I don't know. But also another story, just recapping from the beginning, LifeSite News posted a video supposedly saying that the traditionalist Carmelite nuns in Pennsylvania, the Fairfield Carmelites, their priest has been removed. He's basically, I don't know what the term would be, but basically they can't have their priest anymore as their chaplain. And this video that LifeSite News released is set to private currently. I have the link in the description. You can click on it and see if it becomes active. You will be able to watch it. But yeah, the chaplain was removed for whatever reason, and so what are the nuns going to do? I don't know. I don't know who's going to staff, which priest will say the mass for the nuns, but they are building their own. They're building their own like monastery area, and they have a whole bunch of buildings that they have they have planned out through 2030. The year 2030 is when they hope, I believe, to have everything completed on their monastery grounds. And I could do a video on that at some point eventually to talk about it, because I saw it in a letter how they have all these different plans for different buildings, and so far they only have a few of these buildings completed, as well as a monastery. It looks like a nice church, and people can visit. It is pretty isolated, but it would be a really cool place, and I anticipate that they anticipate to expand, with a number of nuns, and as donations are coming in, they're able to put that to use. They have volunteers coming in and building these buildings, and they're using some traditional technique of masonry, not Freemasonry, but actual like bricklaying. And they anticipate that this type of technique the buildings will last for like 500 years. So that's pretty cool. I like that idea. But also, one unique feature of this monastery is that the chapel will not have electricity, and so it will be candlelight only. And in the winters, it will be very cold, I think. Maybe if you use insulation, I don't know what the insulation on the bricks is, but they also wanted, what would you call it, a crypt underneath of the monastery for the particularly hot days, so that they don't have to bear the heat. And so they have a lot of plans for this monastery, and hopefully, if I get a chance, I can get to the bottom of all of this information, whether even just a video that was set to private. And I don't know, because if I show up there, what are they going to say? Are they going to tell me anything? I wouldn't talk to the nuns, but any of the people there that are kind of running the show or monitoring. There was someone, apparently, there were people that showed up. There were some shady people that showed up there who were taking photos, and then whenever the gatekeeper came out to greet them, they jumped into their car and drove away. And I've been there before. So this place, it's not somewhere where you just like drive past. There's a big driveway type of thing. You have to drive like up a hill, and then there's like a gate at the top of the hill, so you have to go out of your way. I mean, it's off the beaten path, and so obviously they were there deliberately. But who really knows? And who knows the truth? And who knows if this story, what is behind this story? But apparently, Father Maximilian was removed as of Palm Sunday. So, like I said, I don't know. We'll stay tuned for more information and see if we can get to the bottom of this. So this has been EVTN News, your source for Catholic information and the news that's not always talked about in the mainstream Catholic media. Thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.